Close your eyes and imagine. Leave the modern world behind. Forget the crackling of electricity, the glare of screens, the softness of synthetic fabrics. Instead, imagine the smell of wet wool. Imagine the smell of wood smoke clinging to damp stone. Imagine the relentless, rhythmic beat of rain against a heavy oak door. The year is 125 AD. You stand at the edge of the world, or at least the edge of the civilized world. You are in Britain, far from the sun-drenched marble of Rome, the olive groves of Italy, the warm breezes of the Mediterranean. Here the sky is the color of ancient iron. Here the mist clings to the hills like a shroud that never lifts. You are a legionnaire of the 6th Legion, Legio 6 Victrix, and you are on duty at the wall, Valum Alium, the great stone barrier that separated Emperor Hadrian's empire from the barbarians beyond. Tonight the wind blows from the north. It carries the cold of the Caledonian forests, a sharp, biting cold that seeps through your leather tunic and penetrates to your bones. But you do not shiver. You are a Roman soldier. Endurance is not just a duty, it is your identity. Welcome to Mile Castle, a small fort set a full Roman mile apart, a lone beacon of order in a land of chaos. Tonight, we will experience a soldier's long, wet watch on the frontier. We will clean our armor. We will cook our grain. We will gaze into the darkness. And we will find a strange, hypnotic peace in the discipline of the Legion. You are currently standing guard on the ramparts. The walkway is slick with rain. The stone beneath your caligy, your hobnailed boots, is rugged and unyielding. Crunch, splash, crunch. You adjust the heavy woolen cloak, the paennula, pulling the hood deeper over your helmet. The rain in Britannia is not like the rain in Rome. It is not a sudden, cleansing shower. It is a presence. It is a fine, icy mist that soaks everything. It runs and rivets down the cheek guards of your iron helmet, dripping off your chin. You look out into the north. Beyond the crenellations of the wall, there is only darkness. A vast, empty blackness where the forests of the Brigantes tribes begin. Somewhere out there, wolves are prowling. Somewhere out there, eyes might be watching the torches of the wall. But tonight, nothing moves. Just the wind hissing through the heather. Just the rain drumming against your shield. Tap, 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 tap. You shift your weight. Your scutum, the large rectangular shield, is heavy. It is made of plywood layers, covered in canvas and leather, edged in bronze. In this wet weather, it grows heavier as it absorbs moisture. You rest it gently on the stone ledge. The bronze rim clinks against the wall. A sharp, lonely sound. You are tired. Your feet ache from the patrol earlier in the day. But your mind is clear. There is a simplicity here. You have your orders. You have your post. You have your wall. You hear footsteps approaching from the stone stairs. Heavy, rhythmic footsteps. The crunch of iron nails on rock. Decimus, a voice grunts. It is Valerius, your relief. He climbs onto the walkway, hunching his shoulders against the wind. He carries a lantern, the flames sputtering behind a thin sheet of horn. Quiet night, he asks. Wet night, you reply. It is a standard greeting. In Britannia, every night is a wet night. The centurion is doing rounds. Valerius warns quietly. Make sure your kit is stowed properly. You nod. You hand over the watch. There is no ceremony, just a nod in the dark. You are free. For the next 4 hours, the wall belongs to Valerius. You turn and descend the stairs. The wind pushes at your back, trying to keep you out in the cold, but you descend into the shelter of the courtyard. The Mile Castle is small, a fortified square with barracks, an oven, and a stables. You head towards the barracks block. The door is heavy oak, swollen with damp. You push it open. Creak. You step inside. The contrast is immediate. Outside, the world was cold, wet, and vast. Inside, it is warm, dry, and close. The air in the barracks is thick. It smells of unwashed men, of linseed oil, of leather, of stale grain, and of wood smoke. To a civilian, it might be offensive. To you, it is the smell of home. It is the smell of safety. The room is long and narrow. Rows of wooden bunks line the walls. In the center, a hearth fire is burning low, casting dancing orange shadows on the timber roof. Most of your contubernium, your tent group, the 8 men you live and die with, are asleep. You hear the rhythmic breathing, the occasional snore, the rustle of straw mattresses. You move quietly. You are a creature of discipline. You do not wake your brothers. You go to your space. It is small, just a bunk and a hook for your gear, but it is yours. Now begins the ritual, the shedding of the iron skin. First, the shield. You unhook the leather cover you placed over it to protect it from the rain. You wipe the moisture from the bronze rim with a rag. You lean it carefully against the wall beside the others. It must not touch the damp floor. Next, the helmet. The galea. You undo the leather strap under your chin. You pull the heavy iron bowl from your head. Your hair is matted with sweat and rain. You run a hand through it, exhaling a long breath. You place the helmet on the shelf. The cheek guards clink softly. Then, the heavy cloak. It is sodden. It weighs twice what it should. You hang it near the fire to dry. It steams gently, smelling of wet sheep. Now, the armor. The Larica segmentata. The famous segmented plate armor of the legions. It is a masterpiece of engineering, but it is heavy. Iron strips held together by leather straps and brass buckles. You undo the buckles. Click, click. The leather is stiff with cold. Your fingers fumble slightly. You have done this 1,000 times. You loosen the laces at the front. The armor expands, releasing your chest. You shrug it off. The plates slide over each other with a metallic shing sound. You lift the heavy assembly over your head and place it on the stand. Suddenly, you are light. You are just a man in a red wool tunic. You rub your shoulders, feeling the phantom weight of the iron fading. You sit on the edge of your bunk. You begin to unlace your boots. The leather laces are wet knots. You pick at them patiently. Patience is the soldier's greatest weapon. You pull the boots off. Your feet are pale and wrinkled from the damp. You massage them, bringing the blood back. You slip on a pair of dry wool socks and soft leather camp shoes. The comfort is indescribable. You are hungry. A soldier is always hungry. You move to the central hearth. A small iron pot hangs over the embers. There is hot water. You take your wooden bowl. You pour in a measure of grain, ground emmer wheat. You add water. You stir it. This is pulse, the staple diet of the Roman army. It is a simple porridge. Sometimes you add bacon fat, or cheese, or herbs if you have foraged them. Tonight, you have a bit of salt pork and some dried garlic. You chop the pork with your small knife and toss it in. You sit on a low stool by the fire, stirring the pot. Scrape, scrape, the spoon against the wood. The fire pops and crackles. Sparks fly up towards the smoke hole in the roof. You watch the flames. Fire is the same everywhere. This fire looks just like the fires in Gaul, just like the fires in Dacia, just like the fires back home in Italy. It is a universal companion. You eat slowly. The porridge is hot and filling. It warms you from the inside out. You can feel the heat spreading to your fingertips. You take a sip of pasca from your flask, a mixture of water and sour wine vinegar. It is sharp, acidic, and refreshing. It cuts through the heaviness of the grain. You finish eating, but you do not sleep yet. A legionary's work is never done. The rain outside is relentless, and rain is the enemy of iron. Rust is a more insidious foe than any barbarian with an axe. Rust sleeps, rust eats, rust destroys. You fetch your gladius, the short stabbing sword. You draw it from the scabbard. Swing. The blade is dull gray in the firelight. You inspect it closely. Near the hilt, You see a tiny spot of orange. Rust. You click your tongue. You cannot allow this. You open your cleaning kit. A small pouch containing oil, a rag, and fine sand. You pour a drop of olive oil onto the blade. Olive oil is precious here, imported all the way from the sunny south. It smells of home. It smells of civilization. You begin to rub the blade with the oiled rag. Long, slow strokes. Back and forth. Back and forth. This is your meditation. The world shrinks down to the steel. You are not thinking about the cold. You are not thinking about the 20 years of service remaining before your retirement. You are only thinking about the oil and the steel. Rub. Polish. Inspect. You use a bit of pumice stone on the rust spot. Gently. You grind it away until the metal is pure again. The blade begins to shine. It reflects the flames of the hearth. It looks liquid, like quicksilver. You do the same for the scabbard. You oil the leather to keep it supple. If the leather dries out, it cracks. If it cracks, water gets in. If water gets in, the blade rusts. Everything is connected. Discipline is the glue that holds it all together. You slide the sword back into the scabbard. It slides home with a satisfying thud. A movement across the fire catches your eye. Lucius is awake. He is an older soldier, a veteran with a scar running through his eyebrow. He cannot sleep. His joints ache in the damp weather. He nods to you. He reaches under his bunk and pulls out a small leather cup and a pair of bone dice. Tesserae. He shakes the cup. Rattle, rattle. He raises an eyebrow. A silent invitation. You nod. You move your stool closer. You do not play for money. You have not been paid in months. The coin shipment is delayed somewhere down south in Eboracum, York. You play for chores. You play for the best cut of bacon. You play simply to pass the time. Lucius rolls. The dice clatter onto the wooden bench. A 6 and a 3. Venus, he whispers. A good throw. You take the cup. The leather is smooth and warm from his hand. You shake it. The sound of the bone dice hitting the leather walls is rhythmic. CH. You roll. The dice tumble. A 1 and a 1. The dog. A terrible throw. Lucius grins, his teeth yellow in the firelight. You're cleaning the latrines tomorrow, Decimus. You smile. The night is young, old man. You play for an hour. The sound of the rain outside fades into the background, replaced by the intimate sounds of the game. The rattle of the cup, the clatter of bone, the soft groan of wood settling in the heat. It is a quiet camaraderie. You don't need to talk about your fears. You don't need to talk about the terrifying vastness of the forests to the north. You just play the game. Lucius eventually yawns, stretches, and returns to his bunk. You are alone by the fire again. You reach into your pack. You pull out a thin tablet of wood. It is a writing tablet, coated in black wax, and a bronze stylus. You stare at the wax. You should write to your brother in Capua. You should tell him you are alive. You scratch the stylus into the wax. The bronze tip carves a light line into the black surface. Greetings, brother. You stop. What is there to say? It is raining. It is cold. I am cleaning my armor. It seems trivial. Does he care about the mud of Britannia? Does he care about the price of turnips in the local Vicus village? You smooth the wax over with the flat end of the stylus, erasing the words. The black surface becomes smooth again. A blank slate. Maybe another night. Tonight, the words are tired. The fire is dying down to embers. A deep, glowing red pulse. You stand up. You stretch. Your back cracks. You walk to your bunk. You arrange the straw mattress. It is scratchy, but it is dry. You pull your heavy wool blanket over yourself. You lie on your back, staring up at the thatched roof. You can hear the rain intensifying outside. A heavy downpour now. It hammers on the roof tiles. Drum, drum, drum. You think of Valerius out there on the wall, standing in the dark, cold water running down his neck. You are grateful for the warmth. You are grateful for the roof. You close your eyes. You visualize the wall, mile after mile of stone snake, stretching across the neck of the island, east to west, from the River Tyne to the Solway Firth. You are a single brick in that wall, a single spark in the darkness. As you drift off, the sounds of the barracks merge into a lullaby. The breathing of the men, the hiss of the dying fire, the drumming rain. You are safe. The Empire is safe. Sleep, Legionary. Tomorrow, the routine begins again. You are dreaming of Capua. In your dream, the sun is a physical weight on your shoulders, but it is a welcome weight. It feels like a warm hand pressing against your tunic. You are walking through a vineyard. The air smells of dust and ripening grapes and baked earth. You can hear the cicadas buzzing, that relentless, electric shriek of the Mediterranean summer. It is loud, but it is the sound of life. You reach out to pluck a grape. It is dark purple, dusted with white bloom. You can almost taste the sweetness, the burst of warm juice. Thump! The grape vanishes. The sun vanishes. The cicadas are silenced. Thump! Thump! A rough hand shakes your shoulder. The world rushes back in shades of gray and black. The smell of grapes is replaced instantly by the smell of damp straw and old sweat. Decimus. Up. It is the voice of the Optio, the second in command. His voice is a low growl, devoid of sympathy. He is moving down the line of bunks, waking the next watch. You groan. It is a sound that comes from the depths of your soul. Your body is heavy, anchored to the mattress by exhaustion. For a moment, you consider pretending to be dead, just for another hour of warmth. But you are a Roman. You do not pretend. You open your eyes. The barracks is dark, save for the dying embers of the hearth, which cast a dull, red glow on the Optio's bronze helmet as he moves away. You sit up. The air in the barracks has cooled during the night. The warmth you built up under your wool blanket is ripped away, replaced by the damp chill of the stone room. You swing your legs out of the bunk. Your feet hit the packed earth floor. It is cold. You rub your face with calloused hands. Your beard feels rough. Your eyes feel like they are filled with sand. Now begins the reverse ritual. The armoring. It is harder than taking it off. The leather of your Calighi boots has stiffened as it dried. You force your feet into them. You pull the laces tight. Tug, tug. You tie the knots by feel in the semi-darkness. You stand and walk to your armor stand. The Larica segmentata hangs there like the skeleton of a metal beast. You touch the iron. It is freezing. It has absorbed the cold of the room. You lift it. It clanks softly. You lower it over your head. Clank. Shoo. The weight settles onto your shoulders. 20 pounds of iron and leather. It presses down, compressing your tunic. It is a familiar embrace, but at 2 a.m., it feels like a burden. You fumble with the buckles. Your fingers are clumsy with sleep. You tighten the straps across your chest. You check the fit. If it is too loose, it will chafe. If it is too tight, you cannot breathe. It must be perfect. You pick up your belt, the Baltius. It is heavy with the studded apron that hangs down the front. You wrap it around your waist. Cinch. The sound of the buckle is sharp in the quiet room. Finally, the sword. You slide the gladius onto your right hip. The pommel hits your wrist. A reassuring touch. You are no longer a man dreaming of grapes. You are a machine of the Empire once more. You grab your shield and your spear, the heavy pilum. You join the other men of your watch by the door. No one speaks. There is nothing to say. You are all thinking the same thing. Why did I join the legions? The Optio opens the door. Whoosh. The wind hits you first. It has picked up since earlier. It carries rain that feels like icy needles. It stings your exposed face. You step out into the courtyard. The mud sucks at your boots. Squelch. Squelch. The Mile Castle is a dark pit. The torches in the sconces are sputtering, fighting a losing battle against the downpour. The rain hisses as it hits the flames. You march towards the stairs. The stone steps are treacherous. You climb slowly, one hand on the wet rail, the other gripping your spear. Step, clank, step, clank. You reach the rampart. The walkway is exposed to the full fury of the north wind. It howls over the parapet, tearing at your cloak. You see a shape huddled against the crenellations. It is Valerius. He looks miserable. He is shivering, a rhythmic trembling that shakes his spear tip. Decimus, he chatters. Thank the gods. Go, you say? Warm up. He doesn't wait. He stumbles past you, heading for the stairs and the warmth of the barracks you just left. You envy him with a sharp, physical pain. But now, the wall is yours. You take your position. You plant the butt of your spear on the stone. You settle your shield against your leg. You look north. It is the most absolute darkness you have ever seen. In the daylight, the land beyond the wall is rolling hills, heather, and dense forests of oak and pine. But at night, under a cloudy, moonless sky, it is a void. It is as if the world simply ends at the wall. There is no light, no campfires, no distant cities, just blackness. You stare into it. Your eyes strain, trying to find a horizon, a tree line, anything to anchor your vision. But there is nothing. This is the danger. When the eyes have nothing to see, the mind begins to paint pictures. You see shapes in the blackness, moving shadows. Are they men? Are they trees swaying in the wind? You blink. The shapes vanish. You stare again. They return. It is this century's blindness. You have to learn to look without looking. You skim slowly, left to right. You do not focus on one spot. You let your peripheral vision do the work. Since your eyes are useless, your ears must become your primary weapon. You close your eyes for a moment to sharpen your hearing. The wind is the loudest instrument. It moans through the crenellations of the wall. It sounds like a flute played by a giant. Oh, underneath the wind, there is the rain. It drums on your helmet. Tink, tink, tink. It lashes against your shield. Thrum, thrum. But you are listening for the sounds that don't belong. You filter out the wind. You filter out the rain. You listen for the snap of a twig, the sucking sound of a boot in mud, the clink of metal on metal. The barbarians, the painted men, the Picts, they are ghosts in this terrain. They know every bog, every ravine. They do not march in columns like Romans. They creep, they crawl. They can be 10 feet away from the wall before you see them. Suddenly, you hear it. Snap. It was faint, but it was there, down below, in the ditch that runs along the north side of the wall. Your heart hammers against your ribs. The adrenaline spikes, banishing the cold for a second. You grip your spear tighter. Your leather gloves creak. You lean forward, peering over the edge of the parapet. You can see nothing but the rain slashing through the dark. Was it a branch falling? Was it a deer? Or is it a scout testing the defenses? You hold your breath. You wait. Scritch, scratch. Another sound. Movement against the rough stone of the wall base. Something is down there. You have a choice. You can shout an alarm. You can wake the garrison. If it is an attack, you will be a hero. If it is a badger, you will be the laughingstock of the 6th Legion for the next 10 years. You wait. You trust your instincts. The sound is not rhythmic. It is erratic. You reach for a loose stone on the parapet. A pebble. You toss it over the edge, aiming for the sound. It hits the ground below. Click. Silence. Then, a sudden scrabbling sound, and a low, animal growl. A fox. It scampers away into the brush, its paws splashing in the mud. You let out a long breath. The white cloud of your breath is snatched away by the wind. Just a fox. Just a scavenger looking for scraps thrown over the wall. You relax your grip on the spear. Your shoulders drop. The cold rushes back in, sharper than before. Time stretches. How long have you been here? An hour? 2 hours? There are no clocks on the wall. There is only the slow creep of the numbness in your toes. You try to wiggle your toes inside your boots to keep the blood flowing. You shift your weight from one leg to the other. To pass the time, you count. You count the rivets on the back of your shield. 1, 2, 3, 104. You count the raindrops hitting the stone in front of you. 1, 2, 3. You recite the names of the emperors. Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, Vespasian, Titus, Domitian, Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, the man who built this wall. You saw him once, years ago, when he inspected the legion in Germania. He was a man with a beard, unlike the old emperors. He had eyes that seemed to measure everything they looked at. He measured this island. He decided, here. We stop here. Why here? Why not the next hill? Why not the river valley to the north? You don't know. You are just the man standing on the line he drew in the mud. The rain changes character. It shifts from a driving sleet to a heavy, vertical soak. Water finds a way. It always finds a way. It trickles down the back of your neck, finding the gap between your helmet and your scarf. A cold, icy finger tracing your spine. You shudder. It soaks into the wool of your tunic. Your armor, which felt so solid earlier, now feels like a cage of ice. But there is a strange peace in it. You are wet. You cannot get any wetter. You surrender to it. You become part of the landscape. You are a stone gargoyle, immovable, uncomplaining. You look to your left. 50 yards away, you can see the faint silhouette of the next sentry on the wall. Just a darker shape against the dark sky. You don't know who it is. Maybe Lucius. Maybe young Marcus. It doesn't matter. He is there. He is wet too. He is cold too. That knowledge is a comfort. You are links in a chain of iron and flesh that stretches for 80 miles. From sea to sea, as long as you stand, the chain holds. Hours pass. The quality of the darkness begins to change. It is no longer a solid wall of black. It softens. It turns into a deep, bruised charcoal. The rain eases. The wind drops slightly. Dawn is coming. It is not a burst of glory. In Britannia, dawn is just a gradual revealing of the gray sky. Slowly, shapes begin to emerge from the void. First, the tree line of the forest to the north, a ragged edge of black against the gray. Then, the ditch below the wall, a scar in the earth filled with muddy water. Then, the heather of the moorland, brown and purple patches appearing in the mist. The monsters of the night vanish. The moving shadows turn back into bushes. The crouching giants turn back into rocks. The world becomes mundane again. You look at your hands. They are blue-white, the knuckles red. Your spear shaft is slick with water. You hear a trumpet blast from the fort behind the mile castle. Ta-ta-da-ea, the morning call. The camp is waking up. The night watch is over. You hear the heavy footsteps on the stairs again. The relief. It is Valerius again, or maybe someone else. You are too tired to look. Morning, the voice grunts. Morning, you rasp. Your throat is dry. You step away from the edge. Your legs are stiff. Your knees pop. You walk towards the stairs. You do not look back at the north. It will be there tomorrow. It will always be there. You descend into the courtyard. The smell of wood smoke hits you. Someone is baking bread in the ovens. It smells like life. You walk towards the barracks door. You are cold, wet, and exhausted. But you are alive. You survive the night. You push open the door and step into the warmth. You step inside the barracks. The heavy oak door thuds shut behind you, cutting off the howl of the wind as if severed by a knife. The sudden silence, or rather, the sudden absence of the storm, is jarring. Your ears ring slightly. The warmth hits you like a physical wave. It is a thick, humid heat, smelling of drying wool, wood smoke, and sleeping men. After 4 hours of standing in the freezing rain, This smell is sweeter than any perfume in Rome. You move to your bunk. Your fingers are stiff, white claws, barely able to unbuckle your armor. Click, clank. You peel the wet iron from your body. You strip off the sodden tunic, which clings to your skin like a cold second skin. You use a rough linen towel to rub your shivering body. Friction brings heat. Pink returns to your skin. The blood begins to flow again, bringing with it a sharp, tingling pain in your fingers and toes. The thaw pain. You welcome it. It means you are alive. You pull on a dry tunic. It is scratchy wool, but it is dry. You wrap yourself in a dry blanket and sit by the hearth for a moment. You stare into the embers, your body slowly unclench from the tight knot of the cold. You do not sleep immediately. The transition is too abrupt. You just sit, breathing in the warmth, letting the shuddering subside. As dawn fully breaks outside, the internal rhythm of the fort shifts. The night is over. The workday begins. A new smell drifts through the barracks. Yeast, flour, heat. The ovens are open. You stand up. Your stomach rumbles, a deep, hollow ache. You grab your wooden bowl and join the line of men shuffling towards the mess area. The bread of the legion, panis militaris. It is not the refined white bread of the patricians in the capital. It is heavy, dense, whole-grain wheaten bread. Round loaves, scored into 8 sections, baked hard on the outside to survive a march, but soft and steaming on the inside. The cook, a burly man with flour on his hairy arms, tosses a loaf to you. It is hot. You juggle it for a moment, burning your fingertips pleasantly. You break it open. Steam rises from the crumb. You dip a chunk of the hot bread into a bowl of olive oil seasoned with herbs. You put it in your mouth. The taste is simple, earthy, salty, but to a cold, tired man, it is a feast. The carbohydrates settle heavy in your stomach, fueling you for the labor to come. You eat in silence, shoulder to shoulder with your brothers. The only sounds are chewing and the clinking of wooden cups. A whistle blows. Sharp, piercing. Assembly. You stow your bowl. You grab your gear. Not your spear and shield this time. This time, you grab the tools of the other war Rome fights, the war against nature. You grab your delabra, the heavy pickaxe. You grab a wicker basket for hauling earth. You grab a turf cutter. You march out into the courtyard. The rain has stopped, leaving behind a world of gray mud and puddles that reflect the steel-gray sky. The air is still cold, but without the biting wind, it is bearable. The centurion stands on a wooden crate. He looks immaculate, as if he didn't sleep in a damp fort. His transverse crest is red and stiff. His vine staff, the symbol of his authority, taps against his leg. 3rd century, he barks. Wall repair. Sector 4. The frost has cracked the mortar. The ditch has collapsed. Move out. You do not groan. You expect this. The legionary is a builder first, a killer second. You join the army to see the world, and mostly what you have seen is mud and stone. You have built roads in Gaul, bridges in Dacia, and now, a wall at the end of the world. You march out of the mile castle gate. Sinister, Dexter. Sinister, Dexter. Left, right. The boots crunch on the gravel of the military way, the road that runs behind the wall. To your left, the wall rises like a gray cliff. It is 10 feet wide, 15 feet high, a massive ribbon of stone stretching to the horizon. It is a masterpiece of intimidation. You reach Sector 4. It is a section of the wall that crosses a boggy patch of ground. The foundation has shifted slightly in the winter freeze. A crack, jagged like a lightning bolt, runs down the face of the masonry. Halt. The formation breaks. The discipline of the march dissolves into the discipline of the work gang. You are assigned to the mixing crew. This is your world for the next 6 hours. You stand by a large wooden trough. Beside you is a pile of lime, white and caustic. Beside that, a pile of river sand and a barrel of water. You take your shovel. You scoop the lime. Scrape. You dump it in the trough. Thud. You scoop the sand. Scrape. Dump. Thud. You pour the water. Splash. Now the mix. You plunge a heavy wooden hoe into the mess. It is thick, resistant. Squelch. Drag. Squelch. Drag. The sound is wet and heavy. It is a rhythmic, sucking noise. You pull the hoe through the mixture, folding the sand into the lime. Your shoulders burn. Your back aches. But you find a rhythm. Pull and turn. Pull and turn. You fall into a trance. You stop thinking about the wall. You stop thinking about Rome. You become a machine of motion. The mixture turns from a watery mess into a thick, gray paste. Mortar, the glue of the empire. This gray sludge will dry harder than the stone itself. It will hold these rocks together for 1,000 years. Long after you are dust, this mortar you mixed this morning will still be here, gripping the stone. There is a strange satisfaction in that thought. You are building eternity with a wooden hoe. Further down the line, men are working on the face of the wall. Lucius is there. He is using a hammer and chisel to remove the damaged facing stones. Clink, clink, crack. The sound of metal on stone rings out across the moorland. It is a sharp, musical note. Clink, clink, crack. He pries a loose block free. It tumbles to the grass with a heavy thud. Then, the new stone. 2 men carry a block of dressed sandstone between them. It weighs as much as a man. They grunt with the effort. They waddle under the weight. Steady, steady down. The stone settles into the bed of fresh mortar you just mixed. Squish. The mason taps it with the handle of his hammer to level it. Tap, tap, tap. He checks it with a plumb bob, a lead weight on a string. It is true. Vertical. Roman. He takes his trowel and scrapes off the excess mortar. Scrape. The sound is like butter being spread on toast, but rougher, grittier. Row by row, stone by stone, the crack disappears. The wound in the wall heals. While the masons build, the younger soldiers are in the ditch. The fossa. This is the worst job. The V-shaped ditch in front of the wall collects water. It has turned into a soup of mud and freezing slime. They are down there with buckets and spades, clearing the silt. Suck, splash, heave. They throw the mud up onto the bank. It lands with a wet plait. They are covered in it. Their tunics are brown. Their faces are speckled with mud. But they are singing. It is a bawdy marching song about a girl in a tavern in Londinium. Oh, Livia of the Silver Cup. They sing to keep the rhythm. They sing to forget the cold mud sucking at their boots. You listen to the song as you mix your mortar. You hum along quietly. The voices drift away on the wind, small human sounds in the vast, empty landscape. The sun reaches its zenith. It is a pale, white disk behind the clouds, offering light but little heat. Rest. The tools are down. Clatter. You wipe your hands on a rag. They are white with lime dust and red with cold. You find a sheltered spot at the base of the wall, out of the wind. You sit on your basket. You open your pack. Lunch is simple. Cold bacon, hard cheese, a handful of walnuts, and water. You eat slowly. Your muscles are trembling slightly from the repetitive labor. It is a good tremble, the tremble of honest work. You look out at the landscape. In the daylight, without the terror of the night, it is strangely beautiful. The rolling hills are a tapestry of browns, greens, and golds. The heather sways in waves under the wind. Far in the distance, you see a hawk hovering. It hangs motionless in the air, hunting. Then, swoop, it dives. You chew your cheese. You are the hawk. You are the watcher on the wall. Lucius sits beside you. He groans as he stretches his legs. My back, he grumbles. I'm too old for masonry. You're too old for everything, Lucius, you tease. He chuckles. He passes you a small flask. Medicinal, he winks. You take a sip. It is cheap wine, watered down, but it tastes like summer. After the meal, the work changes. The mortar needs to set. You are moved to the road crew, the Via Sagularis. The road has potholed under the heavy wagon wheels of the supply trains. You take up the heavy rammer, a log with handles. Men pour gravel into the holes. You and 3 others stand in a circle with your rammers. Up, down, thud, up, down, thud. You find a rhythm together. You breathe and sync. Ha, thud, ha, thud. The ground vibrates under your feet. You are compacting the earth, making it solid, making it Roman. Civilization is a road. That is what the centurion says. Without the road, the legion cannot move. Without the road, the taxes cannot be collected. Without the road, there is no empire. Just scattered tribes in the mud. You are not just fixing a pothole. You are maintaining the veins of the world. Thud, thud, thud. The sound is hypnotic. It is a drumbeat that echoes off the hills. It drives away thought. There is only the rammer, only the gravel, only the thud. The light begins to fade. The gray sky darkens to purple. Tools down. The shout echoes down the line. You drop the rammer. Your arms feel like they are floating, light as feathers, now that the weight is gone. You gather the baskets. You clean the mortar off the hose. A Roman soldier leaves his tools clean. You form up. The march back to the mile castle is slower. The men are tired. There is no talking, just the heavy tramp of boots. You look back at the wall. The crack is gone. The new stones stand pale and clean against the weathered gray of the old ones. You did that. You fixed the line. A sense of satisfaction settles in your chest. It is a quiet pride. You may not have slain a barbarian chieftain today. You may not have won a medal, but you kept the wall standing for one more day. You march back through the gate. The mile castle is bustling. The evening patrol is gearing up. The smoke from the bathhouse chimney is rising straight up into the still air. The bathhouse. The thought makes you smile. Every fort, even the small ones, has a bathhouse. It is the one non-negotiable luxury of Roman life. You are covered in lime dust, mud, and sweat. Your muscles are knotted. Your skin feels gritty. But soon, there will be hot water. Soon, there will be steam. You stow your tools in the shed. You head back to the barracks to grab your towel and your strigil, oil scraper. The hard part of the day is over. The night watch is hours away. Now comes the reward. You approach the bathhouse. It is a squat, stone building set slightly apart from the barracks, near the eastern wall of the fort. Even from the outside, you can feel its power. The air around it shimmers slightly. Thick, white plumes of smoke drift lazily from the low chimney stacks, carrying the scent of burning oak and pine. You walk around the side, past the prefurnium, the furnace room. You hear the roar of the fires and the shoveling of charcoal. Slaves are down there, feeding the beast that lives beneath the floor. They are the keepers of the flame, ensuring that even here, at the frozen edge of the world, Rome can recreate the climate of Italy. You push open the heavy wooden door and step inside. The noise of the wind vanishes instantly. It is replaced by a hushed, watery echo. The acoustics of the bathhouse are unique. Voices bounce off the vaulted stone ceilings, turning conversations into a soft, murmuring drone. Hum, splash, hum. The air is thick and warm. It wraps around you like a heavy blanket. You take a deep breath. The smell is complex. Damp limestone, olive oil, wood smoke, and the faint, medicinal scent of lavender and rosemary. You enter the apodyterium, the changing room. It is a long, rectangular chamber lined with wooden benches. Rows of niches, loculi, are built into the walls for storing clothes. You find an empty space. You sit on the bench. The wood is polished smooth by thousands of legionary backsides. You begin to undress. This time, it is not a hurried stripping off of wet gear in a cold barracks. It is a slow, deliberate shedding of the day's labor. You untie your boots. They are caked with the lime mortar and clay of the ditch. You place them on the floor. You pull off your socks. Your feet are pale and wrinkled, relieved to be free. You pull off your tunic. It smells of sweat and earth. You roll it up and shove it into the niche. You are naked. You wrap a thin linen towel around your waist. You grab your bath kit, a small flask of oil, your strigil, a curved metal scraper, and a sponge. You stand up. The stone floor beneath your bare feet is surprisingly warm. The hypnotic system is working. Hot air from the furnace is circulating through channels beneath the tiles, turning the floor itself into a radiator. It feels miraculous against your cold soles. You curl your toes against the warm stone. You enter the tepidarium, a warm room, through an arched doorway. There's no pool here, just benches and warm air. This room is a transition point, a decompression chamber between the cold world outside and the intense heat to come. You sit on a marble bench. A gentle, constant warmth radiates, penetrating to the muscles of your legs. You close your eyes. You relax your shoulders. You open your jaw. The other soldiers around you do the same. Lucius is there, eyes closed, head resting against the wall. Young Marcus opens his arms. Everyone speaks in hushed tones. There's an etiquette in the bathhouse, a silent respect. You're all tired. You're all here to recover. You sit for 10 minutes. You feel your heart rate slowing. Tap, tap, tap. The tension that had built up in your neck and back from hours of carrying stones begins to melt away. The knot between your shoulder blades loosens. A tingling sensation begins on your skin. Your pores open. Your body prepares to sweat. Now, the main event. You stand and walk towards the heavy door at the end of the room. Steam is escaping from the cracks around the frame. You push it open. Whoosh. A wall of white engulfs you. You step into the caldarium, the hot room. The humidity here is 100%. The air is opaque with steam. You can barely see the far wall. You move through the white mist like a ghost. The heat is intense. It hits your lungs, making your first breath shallow. But then you breathe deep, and the hot moisture fills your chest, loosening the phlegm, clearing the sinuses. It smells of sulfur and hot stone. Sound is muffled here. The steam absorbs the echoes. The splash of water sounds distant and soft. You find a spot on the wide stone step surrounding the central bath. The water in the rectangular pool is hot, fed directly from the boiler over the furnace. You slide into the water. The sensation is overwhelming. The hot water surrounds you, holding you, lifting you. You feel weightless. The aches in your knees, the stiffness in your back, they are suspended in the heat. You sink down until the water reaches your chin. You close your eyes. The world dissolves. There is no wall. There are no barbarians. There is only the heat. You float there for a long time. Sweat pours from your forehead, mixing with the bath water. You are sweating out the toxins of the day. You are sweating out the fear of the night watch. From the corner of the room, you hear the rhythmic sound of water being poured. Splash, trickle. A slave is ladling water onto the hot floor to create more steam. Hiss. After soaking, you climb out of the pool. Your skin is red and glowing. You are dizzy with the heat, a pleasant, light-headed feeling. You sit on a wooden stool. It is time to clean. Romans do not use soap. Soap is for Gauls. Romans use oil. You uncork your small flask. It contains olive oil, perhaps scented with a little cheap rosemary. You pour a pool of golden oil into your palm. You begin to rub it into your skin, your arms, your chest, your legs. The oil feels slick and heavy. You massage your muscles as you go. You dig your thumbs into your calves, working out the knots from the march. You are coated in oil. You shine in the lantern light. Now, the strigil. You take the curved bronze tool. It looks like a sickle with a blunt edge. You press it against your arm. You drag it down. Scrape. The metal glides over your skin, collecting the oil, the sweat, and the dirt in a gray slurry. Scrape. Flick. You wipe the blade clean and do it again. Scrape. Flick. The sound is rhythmic, wet and metallic. Scritch, splat. You scrape your chest, your back. You ask a comrade to do the hard-to-reach spot between your shoulder blades. Your thighs. It is a deeply satisfying sensation. You are physically removing the layer of the day. The mud of the ditch, the dust of the mortar, the grease of the kitchen, it all comes off. You look at your skin. It is pink and clean. You feel lighter. You feel new. You are clean. You are overheated. Now comes the hardest part. The part that requires courage. You leave the caldarium. You walk back through the tepidarium, your body radiating heat like a furnace. You enter the final room, the frigidarium. The air here is sharp and cold. The pool in the center is circular and deep. The water is not heated. It comes straight from the rain cisterns or the aqueduct. It is icy. You stand at the edge. You look at the dark, still water. You cannot hesitate. If you wait, you will lose your nerve. You take a deep breath. You jump. Splash. The cold hits you like a hammer. It steals the breath from your lungs. Gasp. Every pore in your body snaps shut. The blood rushes from your skin to your core. Your heart hammers. You surface, shaking your head, water flying from your hair. You scramble out of the pool immediately. It is a brutal shock, but as you stand on the tiled floor, a wave of invigoration washes over you. You feel electric. You are awake. You are vibrant. The lethargy of the heat is gone, replaced by a clean, sharp energy. This is the Roman way. Discipline even in leisure. The heat softens you. The cold hardens you. You are tempered steel. You grab a thick, rough wool towel. You rub yourself down vigorously. Rub, rub, rub. Your skin turns from blue-white to a healthy, glowing red. The friction warms you up. You wrap the towel around your shoulders and walk back to the changing room. The atmosphere is different now. The men are relaxed. The silence has broken slightly. There is quiet chatter. The 9th Legion is moving north, someone whispers. I heard the Emperor is ill, another says. You dress slowly. Your fresh tunic feels soft against your clean skin. You pull on your socks. You leave your armor in the niche. You won't need it tonight. You are off duty. You put on your camp shoes. You gather your bath kit. You feel human again. You are no longer just a tool of the Empire. You are a man who is clean, warm, and ready to eat. You step out of the bathhouse. It is fully dark now. The air is crisp and cold, but you do not feel it. You are radiating internal heat. You carry the warmth of the caldarium in your bones. You look up at the sky. The clouds have broken. The stars are out. You see Orion hunting in the southern sky. You see the Great Bear in the north. The fort is quiet. The smoke from the bathhouse rises in a straight silver column against the starlight. You walk back towards the barracks. Your stomach growls. A pleasant, anticipatory sound. You know there is pork stew tonight. You open the barracks door. The familiar smell of wood smoke welcomes you. But this time, you do not smell the sweat and the dirt. You only smell the fire. You go to your bunk. You stow your kit. You sit down. You are clean. You are safe. And for a moment, life is good. You re-enter the barracks. The room is dimmer now. The only light comes from the central hearth and a few scattered oil lamps that burn with a steady, golden flame. The smell is intoxicating. While you were at the baths, the immunes, soldiers excused from duty, have been cooking. A large iron cauldron hangs over the fire, bubbling thickly. It is a pork and lentil stew. Menudo. You join the circle of men sitting on low stools and benches around the fire. You are clean, your skin is warm, and your appetite is sharp. Lucius hands you a bowl. It is hot to the touch. You look into the stew. Chunks of salted pork, soft brown lentils, carrots, and onions, all simmered in a broth thickened with wheat flour and seasoned with lovage and cumin. It is rich and hearty. You take a spoon, a wooden spoon that feels smooth in your hand. You take the first bite. The flavor is intense, salty, savory, and comforting. The pork falls apart in your mouth. The lentils are soft and earthy. It warms your stomach instantly, radiating a deep, internal heat that complements the outer warmth of the fire. You break off a piece of hardtack biscuit and dip it into the gravy. It soaks up the juices, softening into a delicious, mushy delight. There is little talking at first, just the sound of eating. Clink, slurp, chew. It is a primal, satisfied silence. The silence of men who have worked hard and earned their fill. After the bowls are scraped clean, the mood lightens. Ideally, a Roman soldier drinks only water or pasca. But tonight, someone has acquired a small amphora of real wine. It is not the fine Falernian of the south, but a decent red wine from Gaul, heavy and tannic. It is mixed with water, of course. Drinking it neat is for barbarians, and passed around in a clay cup. You take a sip. It tastes of blackberries and oak. It leaves a dry, pleasant coating on your tongue. It relaxes you further. Your eyelids feel heavy, but a pleasant heaviness. In the corner, two men are playing La Trunculi, the game of mercenaries. It is a strategy game played with glass counters on a grid scratched into a stone. Click. A glass piece moves. Click. Another piece moves. You watch them lazily. It is a slow game. A game of patience. The firelight reflects off the colored glass beads, blue and white. They sparkle like gems in the gloom. But the real entertainment begins when Lucius clears his throat. Lucius is the oldest man in the Cantaburnium. He has served for 24 years. Next year, he will retire. He will get his plot of land and his pension. He has seen everything from the deserts of Syria to the forests of Germania. But he hates Britannia most of all. And yet, he loves to talk about it. The wind is loud tonight. Young Marcus whispers, looking up at the smoke hole in the roof where the rain is spitting in. That is not the wind, Lucius says softly. He leans forward, the firelight catching the deep lines in his face and the scar over his eye. The room goes quiet. Even the board game players pause. What is it then? Marcus asks, though he knows the answer. He wants to be scared. It makes the safety of the barracks feel sweeter. It is the genius loci, Lucius says. The spirit of the place. He takes a sip of wine and passes the cup. You boys think this is just an island. Lucius begins, his voice a low rumble. You think you conquer it by building a road and a wall. But the land remembers. The trees remember. He points a gnarled finger towards the north wall of the barracks. Out there, beyond the wall, in the great forest of Caledonia. I was on patrol there 10 years ago, before the wall was finished. He pauses for effect. The fire pops. Crack. We were tracking a raiding party. 10 of us. We went deep into the woods. The trees there, they are not like Roman pines. They are ancient oaks, twisted and gnarled, covered in moss that hangs like gray beards. The canopy is so thick, it is twilight at noon. You pull your blanket tighter around your shoulders. You have seen those trees. You know the ones. We lost the trail, Lucius continues. And then the fog came down. Thick, white fog. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. We stopped. We formed a square. We waited. And then, Marcus whispers. Silence, Lucius says. Absolute silence. No birds. No wind. Just the fog. And then we heard it. Not a war cry. Not a horn. But singing. Singing. A woman's voice. High and sweet. singing in a language that wasn't Latin and wasn't Britain. It sounded like the wind through the rushes. It sounded like water over stones. The men wanted to follow it. Even the centurion took a step forward. It pulled at your heart. It promised rest. It promised sleep. Lucius stares into the fire. But I remembered what my grandmother told me. Never follow a voice in the mist. I grabbed the centurion's arm. I held him back. We stood there for hours, listening to that song. And as we listened, we saw shapes in the mist. Tall shapes, pale shapes, watching us. The Sidhi, a soldier from Gaul, whispers. The fair folk. Whatever they were, Lucius says, they did not want us there. When the fog lifted at dawn, we were standing on the edge of a cliff. One step more, following that song, and we would have walked into the void. He shudders. The wall keeps the barbarians out, yes. But I think, he lowers his voice. I think the emperor built it to keep that out. To draw a line. Human world here, other world there. A heavy silence hangs over the room. You look at the stone walls of the barracks. They feel solid, reassuring. You are glad for the wall. You are glad for the geometry of Rome. Straight lines, square blocks, order. Out there is chaos, magic, mist. And here is logic. Fire, stone. Enough of ghost stories. Decimus, that is you, says gently. You'll give the boy nightmares. The men chuckle. The tension breaks. Nightmares keep you sharp. Lucius grunts, but he smiles. The conversation drifts to mundane things. The quality of the leather in the new boots. The rumor that the emperor might visit the province next summer. The price of a good slave in Londinium. As they talk, you perform the final tasks of the evening. You take your tunic, the one you wore today, and inspect it. There is a small tear near the hem, snagged on a briar. You take out a bone needle and a length of wool thread. You begin to sew. In, out, in, out. The repetition is soothing. You focus on the stitches. They must be small and neat. Other men are doing similar tasks. One is sharpening a knife on a whetstone. Shhhk, shhhk. Another is greasing his sandals. It is a domestic scene. 8 men, trained killers, sitting in a circle, sewing and polishing like grandmothers. This is the secret of the Legion. It is not the fighting. It is the living together. The shared boredom. The shared warmth. The hour grows late. The oil lamps flicker and die out, one by one. The only light left is the hearth, which is burned down to a bed of glowing red coals. The room is getting darker. The shadows lengthen, dancing on the ceiling beams. The conversation slows down. The sentences become shorter. The pauses become longer. Aye, true enough. Tomorrow then. Yawns become contagious. One man stretches, his joints popping. Another rubs his eyes. The wine is gone. The food is digested. The warmth has seeped deep into your bones. Lights out. The optio calls from the door, though the lights are already mostly out. First watch is already posted. Sleep while you can. You put away your needle. You fold your tunic. You stand up and walk to the bucket of water in the corner. You take a ladle and drink a sip. The water is cool and clean. You use the latrine bucket in the corner alcove, a necessary, if unglamorous, reality of barracks life, so you won't have to brave the cold in the middle of the night. You return to your bunk. You strip off your camp shoes. You unroll your blanket. The straw mattress rustles. Crinkle. Crunch. It sounds loud in the quiet room. You lie down. You pull the blanket up to your chin. The wool is scratchy, but it holds your body heat. You look around the room one last time. You see the shapes of your brothers in their bunks. Some are already asleep. You hear the deep, rhythmic breathing of deep slumber. H-A-A-A-S-H-H-H. H-A-A-A-S-H-H-H. You see Lucius staring at the embers, lost in thought. You see the red glow of the fire fading to gray ash. You lay your head on your kit bag, which serves as a pillow. It is hard, but you are used to it. You listen to the rain on the roof. It is a gentle patter now, no longer a storm, just a soft, steady rain that washes the world clean. You think about the wall outside, standing silent in the dark, the rain washing the stone face. You think about the north, the dark trees, the mist. Let them stay there. Let the ghosts have the forest. You have the fire. You close your eyes. The day is done. The stone is set. The duty is fulfilled. Your breathing slows down. You match the rhythm of the room. In, out, in, out. You are safe. You are warm. You are Rome. The barracks room is now completely dark. The last embers of the hearth have buried themselves in gray ash, leaving only a faint, pulsing warmth that you feel rather than see. You are lying on your back. Your body is heavy. It feels as though you are sinking slowly into the straw mattress. But it is not uncomfortable. It is a feeling of being grounded, of being held by the earth. You pull the heavy wool blanket up to your chin. It is rough against your skin, but that roughness is familiar. It is the texture of safety. The weight of the wool presses down on you, a comforting pressure that tells your muscles they no longer need to hold you up. You let your feet fall open. You let your hands uncurl. You let your jaw drop slightly. You scan your body for tension. Your shoulders, which bore the weight of the armor, you let them drop. Your legs, which marched the miles, you let them go limp. Your hands, which gripped the spear and the hoe, you let them soften. You are no longer a soldier. You are no longer a builder. You are just a man, warm and safe in the dark. The room is filled with the sound of breathing. It is a slow, rhythmic chorus. In, out, in, out. It sounds like the sea. It sounds like the wind in the long grass. You listen to the man next to you. His breath is deep and steady. It is the sound of a trust so deep it requires no words. He sleeps because he knows the sentries are on the wall. He sleeps because he knows you are there. And you sleep because you know he is there. You match your breathing to the rhythm of the room. You take a slow breath in through your nose. The air is cool and smells faintly of smoke. You hold it for a heartbeat. You let it out through your mouth. A long, silent sigh. With every exhale, you push the day further away. Exhale the cold rain. Exhale the heavy stone. Exhale the dark forest. They are gone. They are yesterday. Outside, the rain continues. But it has changed. It is no longer the enemy. Pit-pat, pit-pat, pit-pat. It taps gently on the roof tiles. It is a constant, steady drumbeat. It creates a dome of sound over the barracks. You imagine the rain falling on the whole world. You imagine it washing the face of the wall, turning the gray stone black. You imagine it falling on the heather, making the moors glisten. You imagine it falling on the distant forests, dripping from the leaves of the ancient oaks. The rain seals you in. It draws a curtain between you and the chaos. Nothing moves in the rain. The wolves are in their dens. The barbarians are in their huts. The world has stopped. Only the rain moves, and it is singing you to sleep. Hush, hush, says the rain. Sleep, sleep, says the wind. Your thoughts begin to drift. They lose their sharp edges. They become like smoke. You try to think about the emperor, but his face blurs. He is just a statue in a distant city. You try to think about the centurion, but his voice fades. He is just a ghost in the mist. You are floating. You are drifting down a dark river. The water is warm. The current is slow. You pass the milestones of your day, but you do not stop. You pass the ditch. It is just a shadow. You pass the gate. It is open. You are moving inwards, towards the center of yourself, towards the quiet place where there is no duty. Images begin to form behind your closed eyelids. They hypnagogue you. You see the wall, but it is not a wall of stone anymore. It is a wall of mist, soft and impenetrable. It stretches to the stars. You see the fire in the hearth, but it is not a fire of wood. It is a star, a warm, golden star that lives in your chest. You see the forests of the north, but they are not scary. The trees are waving to you. They are whispering, "Rest, soldier, rest." The boundaries of the barracks dissolve. The stone walls melt away. You are lying in a vast, safe space. The darkness is not empty. It is velvety. It is thick. It supports you. You are very deep now. The sounds of the room are far away. The breathing of the men is just a gentle tide. The rain is just a memory of a sound. Your body is asleep. Your limbs are heavy, as if made of lead. You could not move them if you wanted to, and you do not want to. Your mind is a small boat, untethered from the dock. You are drifting out onto a dark, calm lake. There is no wind here. There is no cold. There is only peace. You sink deeper, layer by layer, down through the tired muscles, down through the quiet thoughts, down into the silence. The wall stands guard. The fire burns low. The rain falls soft. You are safe. You are home. Sleep.